saving mermaids from crazed rockmen, slicing your way through a mechanized 3-story tower of terror, to hiking through luscious green pastures after a dream-eating spider, the absurdly titled Linkle Liver Story for the Saturn impresses in many aspects, yet underdelivers in others, making for a serviceable action RPG that is sure to make fans out of some, yet leave others feeling disinterested. Released for the Saturn in 1997, this pseudo-sequel to Crusader of Centy takes place in Mamuna, where you play as Retro, or at least that's what I named her on this playthrough. You're a disciple in training to your town's master, when the evil Cranimal comes down and unleashes chaos on your village, and as you are soon to find out, has been causing mischief across the collective animal universe. So it's up to you to try and figure out how to put a stop to his evil biddings. And with that, your adventure begins. From the get-go, you'll never find a moment to sit still, as you'll constantly be playing catch-up to Cranimal's dubious doings. In his wake, you'll be left with plenty of trouble on your hands as you take out foes left and right. However, it may not be as arduous as expected. The game's expeditious jump from place to place as dungeons zip by in a matter of minutes is appreciated, yet jarring, as the curt dungeons are adorned with only a small array of enemies and obstacles to take care of before you meet a boss and move on to the next quest. This rapid-fire approach to dungeons has its perks, but also comes with some downsides. On one hand, this game will do anything but waste your time, as you can waltz through its missions in a matter of hours, seeing far and wide across its ravishing world. But it comes at the cost of levels feeling unfinished or undercooked. For example, you won't find any carefully crafted puzzles or sprawling treasure-riddled maps. Instead, you might cut down some foes while you scale a small waterfall before taking on another one of Cranimal's minions. The occasional odd job like rolling seeds to a defenseless flower or collecting ingredients for a potion to cure a sick friend do welcome some nice change, but don't add much more to the overall experience. And because of this, the game ends up feeling somewhat empty. Back on the topic of bosses, you'll spar against many inventive monsters like a giant bomb-dropping dildo, a steamy cup of tea, and even a giant Easter Island head, just to name a few. Some of these fights will test your patience and pattern recognition, but others can be cheesed by finding the sweet spot and wailing on it until you come out on top. Because of that, I found most bosses to be a pushover, but like I said, some will put your reflexes to the test. Overall, the boss fights are a highlight of this game. The combat at your disposal is suitable in its own right, but has quirks that I can see putting some people off. And it's all because your main attack is a little delayed as your character winds up before each swing. In turn, the game feels a bit janky and unfair at times because you'll start to swing only to be hit by your target, or you'll swing and won't have time to quickly dodge an attack right after. So nailing the timing is crucial. Thankfully, this isn't the tallest of orders, as I adapted by the time I got past the first boss. Moreover, you can craft different weapons based on range, speed, and damage, which can improve your swing. However, the stronger and slower weapons increase your windup, so keep that in mind. In addition to your melee weapon, your sidekick, Purimuchi, serves as a ranged charge attack that plays a key part in certain battles, but also comes in handy for the occasional creative use on the game's part. If there's one thing this game masterfully exudes, it's style. The splendid and gorgeous graphics are the standout feature of this Foxtrot action-adventure. Levels and dungeons gleam with exuberance as illustrious colors make up the game's wondrous palette. And sprinkled in with the pristine 2D sprites are the occasional 3D object that give the game some extra graphical depth, making it a real looker on the Saturn. And much like the bright color palette, Linkle Liver Story soundtrack mostly consists of upbeat jingles that bounce around the stereo field. With its faux synthesized orchestra, it dances from quirky action themes to down-tempo mood pieces backed by luscious synth pads. Overall, the music ends up having a sort of tropical styling to it, thanks to the percussion including a lot of bongos that provide a nice counter to the main rhythm of most tracks. Across the board, Linkle Liver Story is a jovial playthrough that can quell a much-needed hankering for some dazzling 2D action on the Saturn. But there wasn't a moment I didn't feel somewhat underwhelmed by the game. Throughout its swift 6-hour runtime, I was constantly shocked by the seemingly half-baked levels and finicky combat that every time I got to the end of a quest, I audibly went, "Wait, that's it?" And I feel bad because I genuinely don't want to rag on this game, as I did enjoy my time with it. But as I'm writing this review, I'm having a tough time trying to find anything to say about it other than, it's alright. And you know what? That's okay. Not every game has to be an incredible hidden gem with 10 out of 10 gameplay. And in all fairness, I will say coming into this game, my expectations were quite high, and while it may not have lived up to them, there is still a nugget of a good game found within. So with tempered expectations, maybe you'll get more out of Linkle Liver Story than I did. With that being said, don't expect Linkle Liver Story to blow your mind. But if you want a decent action-adventure game with a gorgeous 32-bit coat of paint, then this game has you covered. But for those of you seeking some serious swordplay to really sink your teeth into, I highly recommend its Genesis predecessor, Crusader of Centy, or another Saturn classic, Shining Wisdom, in its place. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this episode, consider checking out these other videos right here, or even subscribing. Also, if you'd like to throw me a couple of bucks, you can support the show on Patreon.